Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Pink Print Podcast. Today, we are sitting down with entrepreneur and founder of Lobo Interiors, Sarah Lobo. Welcome, Sarah.
Thanks, guys.
Welcome.
So excited to get talking.
We're so
I know, I've
excited.
been yapping all for the last 20 minutes, but now we're starting. But anywho, to get started, tell us a little bit about your background and how you decided to get into interior design and starting and founding. Okay, so it's actually a long story. I'll
Give it
try
to
to
us.
keep it
We
short.
have lots of time.
I'll
We have
try to
time.
keep it short. So when I was younger, I always was in like the creative world. Like I was always doing something, whether it was pottery, whether it was painting. I was just constantly like having projects all over the house. And when I was little, I realized, you guys know the game Sims?
Yeah.
Okay. Obsessed.
No,
like
I'm not gonna lie, like I think I logged in like a year ago.
Honestly, I probably would have too.
It's fun.
It's so fun. But it's funny because I was talking to my boyfriend's sister and she was like, oh my gosh, yeah. And then we were talking about our experiences playing the game. And I was like, okay, complete opposite experiences. I used to just like build houses and then like put the family in and then like end it and then like start a new
And my mom's like, try for a baby, try for a baby.
You're dead.
It's different
actually
experiences.
Cancer and Capricorn.
There you go.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's true. I'm actually Cancer rising, so I feel you.
I am too.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Guys, I'm Aquarius rising.
So I would do that most of the time. And then I realized that I just loved building things. I loved building houses. I was just like really into like designing stuff, whether it be like a little piece of paper I would give my mom or like a pot that I would like donate to somebody. Anyways, so when I was 13 and I was at Carrollton, because I went to Carrollton for 8 years of my life from 1st to 8th grade. And that was an experience in itself. But anyways, I realized that I wanted to study architecture and Gulliver had an architecture program. So that's what made me convince my parents to, to change schools. And so I started studying architecture from 13.
Wow.
And I did the 4-year program at Gulliver, which had like urban planning, industrial design. It was like a college program. And like we started our class with like, I think there was like 20 of us and 3 graduated. Like
Oh, wow.
the 3 in our grade like finished the program.
Wow.
Like
So-
all 4 years.
Ricky did the architecture class, and to this day, he still has his prints.
His portfolio.
And I was like, we need to get rid of this. There's no space in our houses. I'm like, you're in development now. Like, you'll be designing other things. Like, it's okay.
It's a good keepsake,
Yeah.
though. It's fun to look at that stuff. But yeah, so I knew going into college that that's what I wanted to do. And for the longest time, it was architecture. Because I really just fell in love with, the design of buildings, the structural components and everything that goes into it. It's really our built environment and like how we're creating the world, right? Like it's so cool. It's so fascinating. So I ended up going to college for architecture. I did a pre-professional degree and I was playing volleyball at the time, as you guys know. And very quickly, I realized that I just loved interior design. Like as I was doing my projects, I was so fascinated with the interiors of them that I was like, oh, the psychology behind this is so interesting. Like you're really creating an experience for someone. Like it's taking architecture and bringing it down to human scale, right? Like it's the same concept, but instead of being like such a broad way of looking at things, you're really looking at like the minute details that someone actually will see and like appreciate. And so when I realized that and I stopped playing volleyball, I then transferred to UF and got my Bachelor of Design, my BD in interior design. And then I graduated, came back to Miami, was working for Annie Shim at Shim Projects, which was an amazing experience. And I still work for her today, just doing like, a couple hours a week, contracted with her. And I started my own business with a huge leap of faith and crazy opportunity that came to me. I was working for Tremble, teaching at Tremble. And I overheard my boss say that they're opening a new location in Midtown. And I was like, I was like trying not to eavesdrop, but I was just like, came up to her after, I'm like, who's designing the studio? And she's like, actually, we don't have a designer right now. Would you be interested? And I was like, yeah. I'm like, yeah, I'll do it. And I like didn't care about the money. I was like, I just want to put my name on something.
Yeah.
Like something that's my own, something that I can do by myself. And I was like fully confident, even being 23 years old. I was like, I'm a baby in this situation. Like I'm straight out of college. I'm like, do I really know what I'm doing? Like the imposter syndrome kicked in so many times. And it was just an amazing experience. And I learned so much. And then from then it was just snowball effect of me just getting my own projects. So I really went from working on side projects for myself to now being full-time working for myself and having my own company.
Wow, so many questions. I feel like my brain can't process them.
But I know. Sorry, it was like a long version of how it got started.
No, but that's perfect.
I had to start from the beginning.
So, just because I have so many questions, but the one that's popping up right now, how did you get over that imposter syndrome? Because I feel like we all deal with it a lot, especially while being young, and people can not look down on you, but like, oh, what do you know? You know, what's your experience or whatever.
100%.
How did you get over that personally?
You know, it's hard. I feel like sometimes I still deal with it. It comes up every now and then, especially being in the construction world as a woman who's young and, you know, attractive. It's like you'll be sitting at a table and they're like, oh, who are you? Yeah. You have an opinion? Like, oh, okay. No, you don't. Like it really like, and that's happened to me a couple times where it just like, I leave and it makes me realize like, oh, like I need to like just be more confident and like actually speak my mind, because I do know what I'm talking about. And like, I do have the experience, and like, maybe at sometimes I don't know the answer, but like, that's okay. Not everyone has the answer to everything, right? Like, that's why we have resources. That's why we have mentors. Like, there's so many people around us that can help deal with that situation. And the imposter syndrome, really, it's like just having like the journaling and like the meditation background that I try to do constantly, and really just sitting with myself and understanding like where I was and where I've gotten to helps so much. And like, you know, also having girlfriends that you can talk to and like they, you know, hype you up in a sense, like, no, you are doing it. Like, this is real, you know, because I think sometimes, especially in the design world, being a young designer, there's so many people I look up to, and, you know, you're in it and you're doing it, but then you're like, wait, am I actually doing this? Like, are people going to think I'm insane? Like, are people going to actually think that what I'm doing is good? Like, I don't know, you know, because you're just constantly second guessing. But I think just truly having that confidence in yourself is like the most important thing to like kind of overcome it.
Do you think that you were always confident, or do you think putting yourself in these uncomfortable situations has like escalated that for you?
I was gonna ask that. How do you get your confidence?
It's a good question. I think when you're passionate about something, and like I said, I studied architecture since I was 13. I'm like, I do know like this, and it's almost like when I graduated from college, it wasn't like, oh, I have 4 years under my belt. Like, I had 10. Yeah. Right. Like, this was a part of my life for so long. Mm-hmm. Right. So truly the confidence comes from me just like trusting myself and knowing like, okay, I got this. Like, I do know how to do this. I do know how to get this done. And if I don't, I ask my mentors. I ask people that I trust that can help me figure out those situations. And also those people trusting in me and clients trusting in me, you know, also helps a lot. And having those repeat clients, because they can't do anything without my approval. They're like, no. Like, I need Sarah to tell me, like, is this okay? Or do I need to change it? You know, so that also instills confidence in me. Like, okay, like I'm doing something right. And yeah, I think
that's amazing. And I think it's so true, especially with interior design. For example, me, like,
she's like looking around her house right now.
No. I'm like, fuck, does she like it? No. But I was thinking about this the other day. I'm like, okay, if I were to buy a house and like redo the whole thing, I would have to hire somebody, and I would literally just be like, just do it, because I have no idea. And like, you are putting your entire trust into this person, which I do think in turn makes you feel really confident and good. You're like, wow, this person's trusting you with their home. Like, that's a very sacred space. You're building your family there your whole life. So I think that also probably adds to it. I kind of want to backtrack for a second, because I know we have younger girl listeners who are in college, and I really like what you said, and I think it's important to highlight that you did have all that experience like from a younger age. And I think that girls like need to recognize that, because even when you're applying to jobs out of college, like you said, it's like, oh, I have no experience, like how can I be applying to this job? And then I was thinking, I had mentors in college who were like, no, you took this class in college and worked on this project, and that's 4 years of experience. So it's good to like really look back and reflect and actually say like, wow, I actually did do all of that.
100%.
And I am a boss. So anyway.
No, it's a good point. And I think too, like in college, there's some classes that you take and you're just like, why am I here?
Yeah.
Like you're like sitting in a lecture class and you're just like, what is this going to help me with? And then you get out of college and you're like, oh,
Yeah.
I remember learning this, like, and how to deal with this because I took this class.
Yeah.
And I think too, like for me specifically, when I was graduating, I was like, I want to go work for a big architecture firm. I was like going for the Gensler, the Perkins and Will, like the big name architecture firms. And I so quickly realized like, oh, that's the opposite of what I want. And when I found Annie at Shim Projects, she had that experience from the, like her side of things. Like she worked for Gensler, she worked for Yabu Puschelberg, she worked for Related Group. Like she has so much experience working at those big firms that like when I sat down and talked to her, she's like, I don't think that's what you're gonna want. And if it is, cool, go for it. But like she has all that experience that she's passed down to me just from working in a tight-knit environment. And because there's only 3 of us there at Shim Projects, like I was able to get so much more responsibility and like hands-on and like really be a part of these projects that we're working on, which was so valuable to me in my career and just growing my own business because I was able to like hit every phase of every project, you know? Right. Whereas I feel like working at a big firm, you're really just given like one task. Like, okay, you're going to sit at this desk all day and do construction drawings. And it's like, that is not what I wanted at all. So that was another thing for me that I realized, like, not everything that you think you want or you dream of is really what's best for you. And if you really just trust the universe is going to put the right people into your life at the right moments in time and like open doors for you, you just have to have the faith to like walk through them. You know?
No, also I think it's interesting because maybe some people think like, oh, I have to work at a big firm or
to be recognized
or whatever to be recognized and to like have like real true experience. But sometimes like you get even, I don't want to say more, of course, working at a big firm, you're going to get a lot of experience, but sometimes working for like a boutique firm, you're going to wear so much more hats. And it's way more personal that you can learn in a whole different way. I guess it's just really knowing about what works best for you.
Yeah.
What do you focus more on? Commercial? Because I've seen a lot of like the Pilates studios, this beautiful flower shop that I want to talk to you about. Are you also doing residential?
So or it's interesting.
Going into that?
Thought about it this year coming into 2025 as we're renovating our own condo, and
I'm like, I want to see the plans.
It's been a whirlwind. It's been such a whirlwind of just like from the design of everything to getting the permits done and like just so many things. And obviously it's my home. So I'm like, I'm so like, this has to be perfect and this has to be this way, and just making sure all those details fall into place. But residential and commercial are 2 completely different like ball games. Like commercial, I love so much because I'm working with a business owner.
I was gonna say
that has a brand, and like they usually come to me and they're like, hey, this is my brand. This is what I'm trying to accomplish. This is the space that I'm leasing or buying or whatever it is. I need help. You know, and like that is my favorite type of client because I'm just like, okay, awesome. You have a brand. I'm going to take your brand and create a concept and create a space where your business is going to thrive and grow, and like a place that you can live in every day and not get sick of, right? Like I'm very much not the trendy designer. I definitely go more timeless because I know that trends go out of style within 6 months to a year. So why are you going to build out a space and start the design process a year before it's done with the trends that are going on currently? And then it opens and it's like, okay, that's already old. You know? So I think commercial is definitely where I'm going to stick to as of now, and just getting, you know, more high-end commercial projects and restaurants and things like that. I'm doing 3 restaurants in Coconut Grove.
That's very cool.
Which is super fun.
She's like, no.
It's okay.
I can't really disclose the names of anything.
That's fine.
I can tell you kind of what the concepts
are.
are.
What's the vibe?
So one is a speakeasy.
Love.
Which is going to be like very cool library lounge vibes.
So
I feel like the Grove doesn't have a place where you can just go get a drink.
No.
It doesn't, but you know what? That's like so needed there.
It's like, very needed. Like so before or after dinner.
Yes.
I mean, you just need a place that you can just go and sit and like nice, and it's like not like grungy, dirty floors. Like it's like actually upscale.
Oh, it's not Sandbar?
or kudas. It's definitely not either of those. So that's super fun. And the other two are restaurants. One is Caribbean barbecue, which also isn't in the Grove.
No, it's not.
And the other one's going to be a burger bar. So late night.
Wait, that's so fun.
Shake Shack vibes.
So do people call you like the moment they get the space, or do people say like, listen, I want to open a restaurant?
It depends on the client. So people that have opened restaurants before, they know that they're going to need a designer. So they kind of bring me on early, which is awesome. And I love that because I need to have eyes on the architectural plans, the MEP plans, like just making sure that like everything is cohesive with the design. When clients bring me in after the fact, it's a little messy just because, you know, there's things that like, oh, we could have done this, but these permits already got approved, or they've already put the walls up, so now we can't change it, you know. So there's a little bit difference of like the client that I'm getting and that's coming to me with the project. I will say most of the time it's beforehand, like if we're doing build outs, so it's like brand new builds, which I love to do. If I'm just renovating a space, that's cool too, but it's I would say less creative ability, because you don't have flexibility in the floor plans and things like that. So
I want to say that your clients in commercial are probably easier to deal with than residential.
Yes.
Because they're not as emotional.
Really. I mean, their business is also their baby.
Yeah, but it's not their it's not their safe space.
Some people are like 3 years to do their home, and it's like, I want the perfect coffee table. Or the little decor is like, no, I don't like this. No, the faucet, like because they're looking at it every day, their business. Like, of course they want it to be perfect, but like if something comes up,
like little things, like little things that may be like imperfect in the space, no one's gonna recognize, right?
And for them,
it's
like,
more creating a space that can like bring that experience and like can be filled with whatever, like the flower shop, for example.
Let's talk about the flower shop.
The backdrop for that was like so fun because I knew the space was going to be filled with flowers. And she came to me, she was sitting outside of my office, and I went to the bathroom and I came back, and Sabrina's awesome, by the way, if you guys have ever met her.
We
texted
She's
her last
amazing.
because I want a bouquet for my civil wedding from her.
Yes,
because it just looks like so cute.
Yeah. She has like very exotic,
we want to have her
flowers.
On the pod too.
Yeah, you should.
Yeah.
For sure.
She's listening to this.
Amazing. I love her. So she was sitting outside my office, and I walked back from the bathroom, and I was like going inside, and she was like, oh, is this you? And I was like, yeah. And she was like, can I get a card? And then we started talking, and long story short, she was on the phone with Ale the day before, and I was in the car, just like sitting in the car, like we had gone to yoga, and she was like, sorry, I have to take this call. And I'm like, no worries. And she's like talking to Sabrina. And when I heard Sabrina's voice, I was like, wait, are you Sabrina? And then she was like, how do you know me?
Oh my
she was
God.
Just
I overheard your voice yesterday.
Yeah. I was like, you were on the phone with Ale, and I was on the car with her. And she was like, oh my God, that's so funny. So small world. And then she ended up telling me about Neroli Bloom and how she's finally opening up her own space, and it's in Wynwood. It was super close to our office. So we walked over there and just kind of took a look at everything. And she was like, I want a space that embodies me as a person. Like when you meet her, you will know like she is such a warm human being. Like she really just wanted everyone that walks in there to feel like they're at home and to feel just like so welcomed and invited and like not cold, you know, because there's so many places in Miami where you're kind of just like, oh, like, you know, like, I don't know the vibes, like, I don't know. And like her spaces are just like, come and go as you please, hang out.
Very inviting and cozy.
Yeah, super cozy.
Beautiful too.
It's so beautiful. And literally the word I think of when I saw pictures of it is that it's warm.
Yes.
So I love that you said
nailed
that.
it.
Yeah, you nailed it.
Yeah.
And I love that there's kind of like a paradox because a flower shop needs to be cold. Like literally, like the flowers need to be cold. But you made it like these like warm tones of red with the gold accent. I love it so much. I think you did such a beautiful job.
Thank you.
Yeah, we should go.
You guys should go.
Yeah,
we were
sure.
gonna maybe go tomorrow actually.
Yeah, you definitely should stop by because it really is such a beautiful space. And when we were talking about it, and like so many flower shops in particular in Miami, like it's always like white.
Yeah.
Right? Like it's like white and cold, and then the flowers are the color.
Yeah.
Right.
And we were like, we want to do something different. And that's why we were like, let's just go bold. And like the color, like that terracotta, like red color that we chose is like the perfect backdrop for flowers because it's like that earthy color.
Yeah.
You know, so it gives them more saturation and more vibrance when they're against
And like
it.
life when you walk in.
Yeah, and you're just like you're seeing it, and then like the marble that we found for the countertop, we were like stone sourcing, and we were walking through the stone yard, and we just like saw this piece, and we both just looked at each other and we were like, oh, that's it.
Oh my
And
God.
it's like has like blues in it, and it has that like rusty color and like so many different movement patterns, and we were just like, no, this is exactly what you need for this space because it's gonna tie in and complement that like really, you know, terracotta color for the walls. And it was just so good. I'm obsessed. I love it so
It came out
much.
beautiful. How would you describe your design style in 3 words?
That's hard.
Okay, 4 or 5.
Okay.
Or just like,
I would
just
say-
as, you can just describe it in a sentence.
Yeah, I mean, I would say for like my own personal style, if someone asks me what my personal style is, I always say mid-century wabi-sabi.
Ugh,
Like I am very much a mix of mid-century. Like I love mid-century furniture, but I also love the concept of wabi-sabi and just like the organic materials and like the rawness of wabi-sabi. When it comes to my own clients though, I'm working with their
Of course.
brand. So it's
Yeah.
kind of hard to like, I do put in my own style in certain ways, but it's always different, you know,
Yeah.
because each brand is complete opposite to the next, you know?
Yeah.
So, but for my own personal, like our condo is very much mid-century wabi-sabi, like very beautiful stones, very beautiful woods, like wood everywhere. We're doing like wood floors and we're like so happy about it because we had like white tile,
Yeah.
like the old like 90s
vibes.
white tile, and we're just like out of here.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I'm like, it needs to just be warmed up. And then like a lot of our furniture is mid-century. So it's like very much a mix of the two, which I love.
I
Yeah.
love that. I want to ask you about networking because I mean, like, how do these people find you to do their commercial spaces? Like, especially like a restaurant, or I guess with Tremble, you were working there, but you must be like good with networking if your clients like know who you are and they think of their space and they're like, oh, Sarah, she can come design this.
Yeah, it's a lot of word of mouth.
Uh-huh.
Which, you know, my mom has worked in Miami for 40 plus years in the mortgage business.
Mhm.
And she told me when I first started my business, she was like, you have to keep your reputation good and like your, you know, relationship with your clients, like don't burn any bridges because everything is word of mouth in Miami. And I'm like, you're so right, you know, because like after a while I was like, I need to do more marketing. I need to like put out more ads and like all this stuff. And like I started doing it and I was just like, this isn't bringing me clients. What's
Yeah.
bringing me clients is my clients that already trust me and like one of their friends reaching out to them being like, hey, who designed your studios? Or like, do you know a designer? And then they reach out to me. And like the other thing too is networking in our world also has to do with like the people we source from.
Yeah.
So like my reps at the stone places,
Yeah.
right? Like they know that I'm good at what I do. So they'll reach out to me if they have someone say like, hey, I need a designer, or, you know, the wood that we got for our floors, like that rep is really close to me now. So like anytime
Of
he has a
course.
so it's a lot of that.
Totally.
You know, Design Miami is a huge fair, so
Mhm.
that's definitely a place to network. And like, you know, especially this year with the furniture stuff that I'm kind of embarking on, for me it was like getting in with the galleries and really, you know, just putting myself out there and reaching out and being like, hey, like I'm designing this furniture, like can I get your contact info, because you never know, one day I may need a gallery to support me. So that's like a whole other side of things. But networking in our world, it's interesting, it's different. There's a lot of events too, like throughout the year that like I'm blanking on the name of the place, but like places that sell fixtures, house of fixtures, like they have like brunches for designers, so then like
Nice.
people can network, you know.
Interesting.
So it's like things like that really help too, and just also having other designers that you know in the industry here in Miami, like we all kind of like keep in touch and like
Yeah.
reach out to each
Yeah.
other, and it's nice to kind of talk the shit when we can.
Yeah.
Just because, you know, not many people understand what we go through on a daily basis, so it's nice to have people that get it.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
think a happy client is like the best form of marketing.
100%.
yeah.
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 That's the best.
You can't
What
beat
were the
it.
biggest challenges you had to overcome when opening your own business?
I think just juggling everything, like time management. Honestly, for me, it was more on the side of knowing what my value is and what I'm worth. because when you're offering a service, you're not offering a product. So it's just very different in terms of like what you're charging. And I learned very quickly.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, how to value yourself.
After my first project, I learned very quickly, like, oh, I put in so much more time than what I, got paid for. And like, and it had nothing to do with like the client or anything like that. It was more just me not knowing.
Yeah.
Right. And that's just something you learn over time. And, right now I'm actually looking for like a marketing intern to bring into my team because I don't have a business mind. Like I went to school for architecture and design.
Right.
So I'm like the business side of things and the marketing and advertising side of things, I'm like at a loss, I'm like, let me design all day.
Yeah.
I'm like, put me in a freaking shack on the beach and I will design till my hands bleed. But like when it comes to like the logistics and just like the business stuff, I'm like, whew, okay. Thankfully, I have people in my family that are like very business minded.
Yeah.
So like they've been helping me throughout this, like just, thinking through things a little bit more. But yeah, it's definitely, that was probably one of the biggest challenges was, figuring out what to charge for projects and like how to structure your pay fees, right? Like I was doing 50% upfront, 50% at the end. And it was like, because clients would tell me, oh, this is going to be 4 months. And I'm like, okay, great. So 50% and 50% makes sense in 4 months, And then it was 8 months later.
Right.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, I haven't been paid in 6 months. I'm like, and I'm still working on this project.
Of course.
Right. So then I ended up doing like by phases. So like when we enter this phase, I'm going to invoice you. And then this phase, I'm going to invoice you. So it kind of broke it down a little bit more, which was super helpful for me and for them to know like, okay, even if she's on a waiting game because we're getting permits, she's not stressed and I'm not stressed. Like I know what's coming once this permit gets approved or whatever it may be. So yeah, I kind of forgot what the question was.
No, it was what the biggest challenges were when you go into business.
Challenges.
What would you tell people who want to like either start their own business or specifically in interior design? Like what's one piece of advice?
I would say having like confidence in your designs is super important. And not second guessing yourself if you're a designer or any creative, right? Like any artist, creative, like if you have a passion for it and you think like, oh, this is beautiful, then like run with it, you know? Like there's so many opinions in the world. Like everyone is opinionated. And like with the furniture stuff I'm doing, I'm like, I don't care if you love it or hate it. I'm doing this for me and I love it. So like, if you don't like it, okay, bye. Like, I don't, I don't really care. And I think that's probably the biggest thing is just having that confidence to like, know, like, okay, I'm doing it, you know, whether someone doesn't like it or not.
Right.
Wait, so talk about furniture. You also designed a beautiful piece, which I don't know who the photographer was, but I want their number because they made the pictures are insane.
They're insane.
She's
I mean,
awesome.
So
the piece
good.
is
like,
beautiful.
The piece is beautiful, and then the way that you guys put it
We
together
photographed it so
makes it look
so well.
incredible.
Yeah, thank you.
So just finish the Portugal thing. Like, you have your manufacturers in Portugal.
So I'm working with a manufacturer in Portugal to do the whole collection. So it's the 6 pieces. I'm kind of figuring out right now if it's all going to be under one umbrella or if I'm going to split it in half because it's kind of 2 different concepts, but it's all revolving around like the evolution of nature and like the evolution of self. So it's kind of like my own self-expression and my own evolution throughout my life, but also flowers just really like took me on a ride and just the idea of like, flowers blooming and like how like when the petals fall they like they'll come back like it's this whole idea of like the ebbs and flows of life.
I love that.
So the chair is actually this idea of like a deconstructed flower.
Wow.
And like the idea of femininity and like the strength and the softness between the two and how flowers are usually viewed as like these very fragile things.
Yeah.
And I wanted this piece to feel strong.
Yeah.
Right. Like I didn't want it to feel like, oh, it's going to break like that. Like if you touch it, it's going to break. Like all of my pieces that I'm designing are meant to be functional pieces of art. Like I want you to sit in that chair every day. Like I don't want it to just be left in a corner and never sat in. Like I want it to be lived in and enjoyed and like get, damaged over time. Like I think that's the beauty of life, right?
Yeah.
Like things that are just left is just like, oh, it's pretty. Let's just leave it there. It's like, no, but like, let's use it.
Yeah.
Right. And like, that's what furniture is meant to do. Like you're meant to sit, you're meant to eat off of, you're meant to just like gather around. Like there's just so many parts that come together that make furniture so beautiful in my mind.
You're such a creative.
Yeah, I know.
Thank
like,
you.
You and
Such an artist.
You and I could literally never. Like, it's so beautiful. It's so beautiful. You and Alice speak so beautifully.
Oh, thank you.
I wanted to ask you, so is this furniture meant to be for residential or commercial or both?
So I have technically, like, the way that I'm looking at it is I have 2 clients, and my 2 clients are the high-end residential client and the galleries. So, you know, the idea is to be able to have my pieces in furniture fairs like Design Miami,
right,
or, you know, Milan cool. Design Week, like things like that. Like that's kind of the goal. That's the dream. And, you know, there's so many galleries that support different artists and designers and will house their stuff for them, have it on display in their showrooms. So I know that, you know, not every piece is going to get sold to like a high-end client. That's why I'm like, I want to also tap into the gallery side of things and have them just live in the world in different places.
So sorry, I'm just so not familiar with this world.
It's okay.
So when you mean you're putting a chair in a gallery, like the gallery will buy the chair from you, and is it a piece of art in their gallery, or is it there for, is this like a gallery with actual like paintings and art like that?
So there's furniture galleries.
Okay.
Yeah. So like,
is there one that I would like know?
Future Perfect or Studio 27.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. So like places like that, they represent designers and they will sell your pieces, or even like First Dibs.
Okay,
like First Dibs is another one, but First Dibs doesn't have a showroom.
Got it. Okay.
So, you know, the idea would be to have it on display. It wouldn't be like, oh, it's their loungy area of the showroom. You can sit in it. It's more like, do you want to buy this?
Got it.
Right.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool.
And I think it's, you know, there's different ways to do it. Like, I don't know if they'd necessarily buy it from me, but they would have it on display and then take a percentage of the sale.
Totally. Okay, cool.
Right. So it would probably be like a 20% thing or whatever it is. But yeah.
Okay, got it. Cool. Clarity.
How did you like define your personal style, your design style? Like, how do you get to like know yourself on that level?
And feel free to talk about your wellness side too, because I feel like it kind of ties into this.
Yeah. It's a journey. I mean, it's really like you have different styles throughout your whole life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Like, I think like as a young girl, you have like a certain style. And then when you get to high school, like you're like, oh, let me do this. And like, you're with the trends and stuff. And like, I think as you get to a certain age, you really figure out what it is you like and what makes you happy at the end of the day. That's really all it is. It's like, what actually makes me happy? Like, whether it's clothes that I'm wearing, like, do I like being comfortable? Do I like being in like a fitted thing? Like, I'm more of like the comfy gal. Like, I like being like comfy all the time. I'm like, I want to be in like wide jeans and like sweaters and just like hanging out. Like, that's totally my vibe. So, you know, and realizing like that's okay. You know, like being yourself is okay. And like, there's not a trend. Like, but I think that's like so important for like young girls to know, like, you don't have to be trendy. No. You don't have to wear what everyone else is wearing or like do what everyone else is doing. Like, you can find your own way, and like your own personal style will come as you grow and like you really truly learn to love yourself, you know?
Yeah. I think we're so lucky because, I mean, we're still like obviously very young, but we had an era of our life where we didn't have social media and look at influencers all day. And I think girls going through high school right now, like, how on earth are they supposed to ever find themselves? If you're, I mean, even us, like right now, I think I 100% get clouded by looking at who I follow all day and the new influencer that I love right now and like what she's wearing. I mean, I think that again, for us, we're a little bit older, so it's easier to differentiate, but I just can't imagine what these girls go through now, like having to figure themselves out and what they actually like and what they want to like show to the world of who they are, you know?
So true.
But
so true.
I kind of want to talk about how your wellness side, like you're a Pilates instructor. How did, like, I'm assuming that when you were designing Tremble, like, you were like, well, I want to teach in a studio that looks like this and feels like this.
It definitely helps.
Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, as you guys know, I played volleyball for a very, very long time. And, you know, it was always a balance between sports and design. Like, that was always my thing. So I was, you know, in high school, very tomboy, like, you know, always in hoodies, always had my hair in a bun. Like, I was just like, okay, I'm going to practice. And then like, I would go to class. So it was always like balancing those two. And I think that's, again, to like your personal style, like that's kind of just who I am as a person.
Right.
And so when I stopped playing, I ended up coaching. When I transferred to UF, I coached at a local like travel club in Gainesville.
Nice.
I coached like 18-year-olds and 15-year-olds, and it was so much fun, a lot of work, but it was awesome because I got to be around the sport again. And then, you know, I kind of fell off. I was like, okay, this is just a little too much with like school load. And I found Pilates, and I was like, fell in love.
Which is so different from volleyball.
So different. But I've had so many injuries that when I started doing Pilates, I was like, I feel my best. Like I was like, the workout itself is high intensity, but it's such low impact that like my knees don't hurt, my hips don't hurt, my back doesn't hurt anymore. Like
workout.
It's so good. Like it's just like overall you just feel better. And so when I found a studio open there, and it had been a yoga studio originally, it's called Yoga Pod, and they opened Apex. And if there's any UF girlies listening, they definitely know. They definitely know what I'm talking about. So Apex opened, and I started going, and I was just like, oh, I need in. Like, I was like, I'm moving to Miami soon, and I want to keep being able to do this. And like, as a young person that just graduated college, Pilates is super expensive. Yeah. Let's be real. Like, you can't afford it if you're like working 3 jobs. Like, you know, it's even hard to just afford to live here, let alone, you know, do the things you actually want to do. So I was like, I need to teach. So I did my teacher training there before I graduated. It was like my senior year was a crazy year. I was doing teacher training. I was working for Annie Shim that whole last year of college remotely while I was finishing my degree. Because as I finished my internship with her, and she's like, okay, I need you. You're hired. And like just kept me, which was awesome. So I had a job out of college, which was great.
Amazing.
So I did my teacher training. I started teaching there. And then when I came to Miami, I was looking at studios, and I was like, Jet Set, there's Solid Core, there's Tremble. And I like saw Tremble, and I was like, oh my God, this is like super intimidating. Yeah. I was like, this is kind of scary. Like, I don't know if I'm going to fit in. Like, I'm like such a nice, like, you know, like wholesome girly. And like, I was just like, oh, this is like, I don't know if they're going to like me. And I met my boss now, Ariane, and she was like just so delightful. Like, just like had such a good connection with her. And then, long story short, that's how it ended up starting Lobo Interiors. That's Pilates was the reason, really.
That's crazy how
why everything started.
Nothing's a coincidence.
Yeah, one thing leads to the next.
It's true.
But I also love that, like, you're like, I want to do Pilates. Sure, it's expensive. Like, what's the back door? Like, what can I do to like get what I want?
Yeah, exactly.
Kind of vibe.
And I was like, okay, I'm gonna teach, and then I'm gonna make money.
Make money, and I get to do Pilates,
and I get to do Pilates. Yeah, and I met so many amazing people too, like clients. You know, I used to teach at the Brickell Studio, which is right here. But when I first moved, I was like in hustle mode. I was like, I need to hustle because I need to afford my rent. I need, like, you know, like I was just like, this is crazy down here.
So talk about wellness and hustling. How are you balancing like these two different energies? Because I think we feel it too, that it's like you want to work, you want to make money, you want to do big things and be successful, and we're young, but then also we got to take care of our health. And you mentioned earlier that you journal and you try to meditate. You are still practicing Pilates. Like, how do you balance that, and what are some actual things that you do?
I definitely try to keep my workout schedule very consistent. As soon as I start to fall off, my head goes crazy. So it's more for my mental health working out. And like my mom always used to say, strong body, strong mind. Like that's very true. And you know, it's not just for like looking good. No. It's for feeling good. Like if 100%. You want to be an entrepreneur and run your own business, like you better be on top of your health game. Cause like if you start getting sick, it's like hell. It's like you don't want to be sick. Cause if you're sick for a week, you're just like trying to deal with like people calling you and like all the stuff going on, and you're just like, I don't feel good. Like you can't call out. You can't call out of your own job, your own business.
It's like another sense of accomplishment for me. It's like if I did my workout this morning, it's like check. Like I already feel good. I already automatically feel better because I already did something and now I can like.
Exactly. And it's finding the stuff that you like to do. Like HIIT workouts are like really, they're like whatever, like I'll do them, but I'm like, it's not enjoyable. Like I'd rather go to hot Pilates or yoga or Tremble, you know, like that's more my vibe. So if I can work those into my schedule somehow, some way, it's great. And also like working for yourself, you have the flexibility to be like, okay, I can schedule meetings in the morning and I can go to a noon class.
Totally.
And then work the rest of the afternoon. So like there is that flexibility, which is super helpful. And like for me, my day-to-day is always different, which I love about life. Like I'm not a 9 to 5 girly. Like
we aren't either. Obviously.
If I like am up super late because I'm inspired, I will work. But like if not, I like prioritize my sleep.
Yeah.
I'm like, I need 8 hours of sleep no matter what. So even if I go to bed at midnight and I'm usually getting up at 6:30, I'm like, nope, I'm getting up at 8. I'm like, whatever was happening in the morning can wait. Because like I need, like that's super important too. It's just always prioritizing your sleep.
Are you a naturally disciplined person?
Yeah.
I'm like, she's a Capricorn.
Yeah,
no,
I would say so.
I don't know. Some people struggle. Okay. We need to work on being consistent.
I feel like every Capricorn is just the most disciplined. Like, yeah.
It's like hard not to be.
Yeah.
Like that's the other thing too, is I think when I started my own business and I was still teaching and like, you know, just juggling so many things, having that characteristic of time management, of having played volleyball for so many years and being in architecture school at the same time, like time management was super important then. And it became so important now.
Yeah.
And like, you know, it's been 2.5 years of Lobo Interiors, which is awesome. And I'm starting to kind of now realize like, okay, I can take a step back from teaching, or I can take a step back from this, like just to really focus on my career. Cause I hustled.
Of course.
Like, I did the hustle, you know? And like, I think for young people that are starting off their own business or whatever it may be, even if they're working for someone else and you know that your goal is to be able to work for yourself one day, it's like, you know, you have to put in the work.
Yes.
Like you have to, like, there's going to be a
Actually,
period.
I don't know if everyone knows that.
There's going to be a period of time where you're like, this is crazy. Like I'm doing a billion things. Like all my friends were like, I don't understand how you're doing this and that and that and that and that. And they would look at my schedule and just be like, okay. And like, and then I would still make time to hang out with them.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, so it was just like, they're like, how are you managing to do all this? And it's really just time management. Like, you know, what's priority, you know, like, okay, this is what's due this week. I need to get this done. Everything else can wait a little bit, just to give yourself a little bit more time and like give yourself that flexibility.
Yeah. I think that people always want like a hack in this regard specifically. Like, how do you wake up and how do you do this and how do you do that? It's like, there's no hack. Like,
there's no hack.
You just have to get up and you have to do it.
Yeah.
And it's so funny. This is a little bit of a tangent, but my friend is like was dating this guy and she's a very fit person. And he's like, yeah, I just like work so much. I don't have time to like work out. And she was like, never speaking to you again. She's like, there's no reason for that. You can't work too much and not make time to work out. Wake up at 4 a.m. and work out.
Yeah.
Whatever.
You figure it out. Like
exactly.
You have to.
If it's a priority, you figure it out.
Yeah,
and I'm sorry, it can be 30 minutes. Like it doesn't have to be an hour and a half.
You don't need a ton of
like,
time. I love the Form app.
I'll shout out Form.
I love her.
Guess what? You're about to love it even more because we met Sammy Clark and Sammy Spalter.
Oh, yeah.
No way.
Sammy Clark seriously is an angel sent from heaven.
She's really sweet.
The way she is on the app and on her Instagram is exactly how she was in person. Like, took so much time to speak to us and like.
No, fully. I was like, this is like really long conversation.
Yeah,
like sometimes you're like, oh hi, thank you so much. Like,
she was like asking us questions about ourselves. We told her about our podcast. She's like, oh my god, tell me about the podcast. Tell me about you guys. Why you started. Like, a lot of interest. Okay, we're like talking about Sammy Clark now, but
no, it's all good. It's all good. We're all fans.
That's honestly probably why we all love Form, because like you can feel her
energy,
and like it's all so authentic and
so true.
It's a great business tip for everybody listening.
No, it is. It's so true. And like that's another thing that I was trying to figure out with like my own business and the marketing side of things and like having people really know me. And like that's why when you reached out, I was like, oh, this is actually a really good opportunity, because I feel like on social media, like I'm really not facey on my Lobo Interiors. Like it's mostly just like my projects or whatever. But like people that don't know me,
Yeah.
you know? And like, I think that's also so important going forward is being a little bit more facey so that people genuinely get to know me and know that like, I love this.
Yes.
You know, like I love what I do.
People like to know who they're working with. Like, what's your vibe? Like, of course they can call you and set up a coffee or go to your office, but
be relatable.
yes.
Yeah. 100%.
What are daily wellness practices that you do daily? I'm like, daily.
Yeah, I'm like, you can't live without.
But you said, yeah, but you can't live without. Like you were mentioning that you do the bone broth in the mornings.
Yes, I drink bone broth
What
in
else?
the morning. If I don't do bone broth, I'll do like lemon water, just to kind of jumpstart the metabolism. I'm taking Array MB1, which is like their pre-probiotic.
We
I
met
love
Sif
it.
Hader too.
Really?
Yes.
I love their stuff.
Yeah.
Array is awesome. And I just got off birth control like 2 months ago. So I'm doing like a birth control cleanse.
I love that for you.
Which is great.
Actually, can you talk about that? Because
Sure.
I feel like, I feel like me in the past, I'm on birth control right now, in case anybody was wondering. But
I know the last episode, I'm like, I'm on my period.
yeah, you know what? This is our
girls
show.
here.
We can
It's
say whatever we want. Like in the past, people don't like talk about how you can't just like stop birth control. Like, I mean, you can, but then, well, I did, but like you don't feel
good.
right.
Yeah.
So like, what are things that you're doing right now?
So staying super hydrated is super important when you first get off. I think, I mean, for me right now, it's been a lot of hormonal changes the first month. Like I was like, felt like I was going crazy. I was like, oh my God. I was like, poor Adam. I was just like, I love you so much. Don't take it personal. And like, he's great because he's just like, you're going through a lot. Your body's changing a lot. Like, it's okay.
Yeah.
But I think for me, the biggest thing was I was getting migraines like 3 times a week, like really bad from being on it.
Oh,
and
wow, that's wild.
My doctor was like, okay, let's switch your prescription. So he switched my prescription. Then I was getting mood swings and like all these other symptoms. And I was like, fuck this. I was like, I don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah.
I'm putting chemicals in my body. I'm just like, I just want to feel like myself.
Yeah.
You know, like I want to know me and like know my cycle, which is like, you know, crazy to think, but it's like you really don't know yourself until you get off of it. It's like I haven't had a real period in 10 years.
Yeah.
Like I've been on birth control for so long.
We talk about this all the time. We're like, are we still gonna like love our boyfriends' husbands? Like when we're off this pill.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
That's like, I think
not really.
Definitely what's it called?
A myth?
Yeah, it's definitely a myth.
It's a myth. Yeah. Okay.
Because
Cool.
I thought the same thing. I'm like,
well, we're 3 weeks away.
Think that you're gross.
It's too late.
Yeah, it's a little too late for you.
Yeah.
But no, I definitely think I started taking Turn Health birth control cleanse. It's a pill.
Okay, got it.
And it's basically just a multivitamin. Like my doctor was like, you don't have to pay $60 for that. You can just get a women's 1 a day multivitamin and like it'll do the same thing. But I think helping your body kind of get back what's been depleted is super helpful because then it helps balance your hormones out because like you go off of it and then the pill was depleting stuff that your body does need,
Right.
you know, but the hormones were masking it.
Yeah.
So that's all coming out and you kind of like, right now they call it purging when you start to get like kind of like hormonal acne and like it doesn't look like it, but because I've gotten 2 facials in the last week because I was like dying.
Your skin
I was
looks
like,
flawless.
Thank you.
I literally don't know what you're talking about.
The lady I go to is like a magician, but they like hurt. They're like hormonal acne hurts. And like I was on birth control since high school, so I never really had acne. Like that always helped the acne. So I'm like, I don't know what's going on with my skin. I don't know how to take care of it. Because like what I'm used to doing is not working.
Yeah.
So it's been a little journey of like getting back to myself and feeling better. But I will say like I do feel better off of it. Just like learning my body more. And I have an Aura ring, so I have the natural cycles and like doing all that stuff, which is super helpful.
Wait, can you go back to why you take the MB1? Because I obviously see all the ads and I'm like,
yeah. So I started taking it because it's a probiotic. So it's just good for your gut health. And it helps with like just like energy. Like
B12.
I take it every morning or like before I go work out. And it is really super helpful.
Wow.
Just like kind of gives you like a little burst and you do feel like just less bloated throughout the day. And
I love that.
just like overall just body wellness, feeling better.
Cool. Okay,
What is your dream project?
Ooh, that's a good question. So my dream project for interior design, I would say, is like a boutique hotel.
Oh, I love
I
that.
would love to design like
Where?
a one-of-a-kind boutique hotel. It could be anywhere, honestly. Like I would be down to design anything, anywhere, like just like a one-of-a-kind type of place.
Is there any place that like just you're like, oh, I would just love to do something in this city that's like this vibe, like you were mentioning like Wyoming, like maybe like very ski warm. Do you know what I mean? Like, does anything that like speak
something
to you?
like that?
Or just nowhere, just like a boutique hotel somewhere.
I would say honestly here.
Yeah,
Oh,
Would
here's a great
love.
place.
I love Miami. So I had actually a client reach out to me about a very Art Deco like hotel in Miami Beach, and her budget was just super low, so it didn't end up working out. But I was like, when I got that, I was like, oh my god, please! I was like, let me do this. Like it would be so fun, but you do need a budget to like you know,
I mean,
renovate a completely entirely gut a hotel. So
yes.
that was a fun little burst of a moment, but definitely on my goal list is to do more like commercial hospitality stuff like that.
I feel like you could design a Soho house. Like
Yeah.
a really
Oh my
cool
God.
Soho
Definitely
house.
the vibe.
Yeah.
I didn't
for
even
sure.
think about that, but that's like so on brand. I feel.
I'm thinking of the one like in Austin. I don't know why, but it's like more.
Have you
like
been to the one in Mexico City?
I was gonna say the one in
No, but
Mexico.
I mean,
So
from what
good.
I've seen, it just looks insane.
Beautiful. Yeah.
How do you want your designs to impact the people?
I always try to leave like a lasting impression. Like I want someone to remember the space, whether it be a restaurant, a hotel, a retail store, like whatever it is. It's like you're creating a memory for someone, and it's like, what are they going to remember about that space? Are they going to remember the people? Are they going to remember the food? Are they going to remember the environment, the actual experience of sitting there and being like, wow, these lights are so cool, or like, you know, the way that this is designed is awesome. Like that's kind of, you know, more so what I look for when I'm designing spaces.
A quick fire round for you.
Okay.
So,
Shoot.
are you ready?
I don't know.
Okay. What's your favorite design trend right now?
Oh, I'm kind of digging the red.
Yes.
There's like
Okay, I
the red
love
trend
red.
that's going on. I'm feeling it. And also fashion too, like in interiors and fashion. And the interesting thing is interior design follows fashion.
Interesting.
So there's like kind of a theory that like denim is going to slowly come into interiors,
Ooh.
which could be interesting.
that could be
kinda
really
like
interesting
that.
to see how
Like
it
denim
plays out.
pillows and like just like kind of cool stuff like that. So I'm
Yeah.
intrigued to see if that actually happens, because denim is very in right now,
Yeah.
like very much so in the fashion world. So I don't know.
What's your favorite color palette for any space?
Ooh, I'm definitely an earth tone girl.
Okay.
So like whether we're leaning more greens, like olive greens, dark walnuts, like kind of
Love.
that vibe,
Yeah.
or like on the lighter side doing like lighter like European oak wood
Yes.
kind of thing with like the neutral taupey colors. That's like definitely on my,
Minimalism or maximalism?
I would say in between. I wouldn't go here or there.
Okay.
Minimalism is not enough character.
Yeah.
And maximalism is just sensory overload.
Mm-hmm.
So it's
I
like
love sensory overload sometimes.
sometimes it's good. If it's done right, it's good.
If it's done right.
Yeah, exactly.
Not it's too much.
Right. So I think finding the like balance in between is like perfect spot.
Probably the
Yeah.
best. Go-to tip for making a small space feel bigger.
Whatever you paint your wall color, take it up to the ceiling.
Okay.
So ceiling and wall color the same if you have a really small space, because that'll just keep the eyes drawing up.
Right.
Mirrors help too. Definitely if you have a small room, you add a mirror, it kind of like brings in more of the natural light from outside. Or, you know, if you put a mirror on your wall, it kind of makes the room feel larger. And also just like furniture that fits.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right? Like when you have a small space, you don't want to put like super big clunky furniture, because then you're like, there's no room to walk around. Like then it just feels smaller.
Yes.
So actually finding furniture that fits your space is definitely a way to make your space feel
that's
bigger.
a very good tip. What's one design rule you love breaking?
I love playing with materials and like using materials like in a non-traditional sense. So, or like kind of just like creating different patterns, whether it be in a floor, or like inlaying tile into like poured concrete, for example, like doing stuff like that. That's like not necessarily easy
Right.
to do. Like there's a lot of times I design something and then like we'll get it priced out And the client's like, okay, no, we can't do that. And I'm like, come on, please. I'm like, let's just try it. So definitely pushing boundaries in certain ways is so much fun.
So to go off of that, what's your favorite material to work with?
I love wood. I'm a big wood girl. Like give me an entire wood filled room and it's like beautiful.
I like wood
so
too.
good.
I feel like you work good with like stones too, though.
Yeah, I love a good marble.
Like a marble, yeah. Must have feature in every home.
Well, if we're talking in a home, I love to cook. And we're renovating our condo right now. And like one of the things that I'm so excited about is I put in like a part of my cabinet is a spice rack that pulls out.
Oh, love that.
Which is like perfect for me because it's like right next to the stove. And I'm just like, I can't wait because then it won't be cluttered everywhere. Yeah. I'm like, I just need to have them stored and like so perfectly like have their own home.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because that's like the biggest thing is like, where do you put the spices?
Yeah. No, I feel like it's like practical, functional things.
Yeah.
What's one thing people often overlook in their interiors?
I'm like looking around your apartment. I'm like, did she miss anything?
Probably. I'm not an interior designer.
In a home, I would say like paint, wallpaper, like covering your walls.
I love wallpaper.
Her mom's whole house is wallpaper.
I love wallpaper.
Yeah.
I love wallpaper. It's awesome. And like lime wash paint. Like there's so many things. That's cool. Definitely on trend, but I think that's a very timeless thing too. Because it kind of dates back to like Roman clay.
Yeah.
And,
It's giving like the Venetian plaster that people do too.
It gives like more traditional architecture
Yeah.
kind of feel. So I think that's something that's probably going to stay in the design world for a while. But I do love just like adding a little color here or there, like accents, you know, like accent walls.
Yeah, I love that. What's the first thing you notice when you walk into a room?
That's a good question. Probably the furniture.
Does your eyes draw anywhere? Like if you go into someone's home, I guess like any piece.
It depends on what's inside.
I guess like where you're walking into, I guess
it
the space.
depends where I'm going. Some people also have like very cool light fixtures.
Yeah. Okay, perfect. And we have one last question that we always end with at the end of every episode, which is that, well, you know, here we aim to give our listeners the pink print to personal growth and success through a homework assignment, which is a little practical tool or tip that they can implement this week. So what is one homework assignment to the listeners this week? It could be anything. Something you can do.
I would say write yourself a fucking letter.
Okay.
Love that.
Write yourself a letter, whether it be to your old self, to your new self. That's one thing in like the journaling meditation practice that I've done that has truly transformed my life. Like I once, like a few years ago, wrote a letter to my child self, like my 5-year-old self, and like forgave her, like said, I'm sorry, you know? And then I wrote one back to me and I was like, you're forgiven. Like, and it was like the most healing process because it was just like that inner child's in you. And that's really where your personal style comes from. Like I'm going to show you. Person. Oh,
same.
Oh, you guys are so cute. Oh my God.
We all got pictures of baby.
You guys are so adorable.
How can you get mad at that girl?
No, then you look and you're like, oh my God, how could you be this to her?
Yeah, like what makes her happy? And like, especially for women, we're so critical of ourselves. So I think that's my homework assignment. To write a letter to yourself.
I want you to write a letter to yourself and let me know when you do it.
You too.
You do it first.
I love it.
Where can everybody find you? Personal, business?
So
Tip yourself out.
I'm on Instagram as Lobo_Interiors and my personal page is Sarah_Lobo. It's pretty easy. And then on both my Instagrams has my link to my website. It's just lobointeriors.com. Everything's pretty simple.
Perfect.
So yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming here.
Thank you,
It was such a pleasure.
Yeah, it was awesome being here. Having you ask me questions.
We love it.
Thank you guys.
Ciao, bye.
Thank you.